Welcome back to From the Burbs to the Tetons. Every couple of months, maybe every quarter, I'm going to do a review of the items, the technology we've been adding to our smart home inventory. I'm going to stay away from a lot of the technical jargon and, crunching numbers and comparisons. To me, it's more important, is it working for the purpose I need it to? First up is going to be the new router I got. It's a Netgear AX8. Has 8 channels of communication. They also make an AX12, which has 12 channels of communication. Right now on Amazon, the AX8 is $400 and the AX12 is $600. I have links below. If you use those, I'll get a small little commission to help out the channel, and it won't cost you anything more. You might be thinking these are pretty expensive, and you would be right. But the channels are pretty unique on these new AX protocol routers. Now your first thought's probably going to be, boy, these are really expensive routers, and there's a reason. The easiest way to explain this would be comparing it to my old router. It was 5 years old. It was a tri-band, meaning it had 3 lanes. But the lanes were dedicated to specific protocols. So it would be like, okay, I've got one that's for motorcycles, and then one that's for trucks, and one that's for cars. Now if I had no trucks running on the highway, I couldn't repurpose that channel for something else. It was only for trucks. Now this has 8 bands, and every band can be used for any type of vehicle. The other unique thing about the bands too is that they can be broken into sub-bands. Think about it on, new digital TVs where they have like a 7.1, a 7.2, and a 7.3 channel. It's no longer just 7. Right? So look at it that way, that they can fit more in that lane. So why is that important? Well, if we're going to be hooking up a whole bunch of smart home devices, often referred to as LOT devices, LOTs, you're going to need a lot more bandwidth for them to communicate through the Wi-Fi router. Now, on my old router, my daughter would often complain about how there was a lot of buffering, meaning, it pauses in the middle, then it starts up again, then it pauses and starts up again. We've had none of that, and I've added 2 streaming devices to the network, and I plan on adding 2 more streaming, which are clearly the most heaviest used items on Wi-Fi. And we plan on adding a whole bunch of just smart home devices, like to turn on and off lights and things like that. So the usage of the Wi-Fi is going to go way up, and just having 3 channels was clearly not going to be enough to have a good user experience. So for right now, I've got to give this new router an A+ for what we're using it for. As we add a lot more smart home devices to the Wi-Fi network, maybe it'll slow down, but I'll keep updating you on, how much we're putting on the Wi-Fi network compared to how it's doing as far as handling all that traffic. The next thing I want to update you on is the HD TV antenna. I don't have everything worked out yet on how we're going to use all the services and stuff like that, but the few times I have gone ahead and used the antenna, it really gives you a really good sharp picture. I think it might be just a tad better than what I'm getting from Dish. It's about the same what I'm getting when I'm using Hulu as the service. Now Hulu doesn't have an arrangement with ABC, actually in a lot of markets. So the only way for me to get ABC at that point is going to be over the air with the antenna. The downside with getting it over the antenna is there's no way to pause it. The Plex server does allow you to do some recording and pausing and things like that. So once that gets hooked up, maybe I'll get that back. Also, possibly Hulu will sign an agreement with ABC locally here. I'm more concerned about it being available out in Driggs, and they don't have an arrangement with ABC in Driggs either. I have a Fire TV Cube and also several of the Fire TV 4K sticks. I don't have all the sticks hooked up at the moment, but I do have one in the kitchen, and I really like it so far. I'm not going to give it a real grade at the moment because I just haven't used it enough. I haven't become familiar enough with all the voice commands yet. So anything I say here would just be a halfway grade. I want to give it a real grade once I really get into using it. I think what I need to do is write down the keywords that I need to use to do certain things, because it does matter what order you say the words in and stuff. And then that'll give it a better feeling on how it's doing. But so far, I like it. And I'll just leave it at that. The last thing I want to comment on and talk about are the services I'm using to replace Dish. So I'm going to go with Hulu as my primary service. It's got a lot of the channels I like to watch. There are several key channels that are missing, but I found another service, Philo, that seems to have, you know, they're the perfect yin-yang to each other. What Philo has, Hulu doesn't have. What Hulu has, Philo doesn't have. So between the two services, I'm getting all the channels I tend to like to watch. So the elephant in the room for me is DVR capability. Both Hulu and Philo have DVR capability. I think Philo is, I just bought Philo, so I've got to do more on it, so I'm not going to say anything about it, but it has it. Hulu, I've been playing with for a little while. I'm very frustrated with the interface. I think the interface sucks. It's really hard to tell what the heck you're doing. There's no clear guide where I can go in and select something that I want to record. It seems to be very program-oriented, not channel-oriented. I guess in some respects that's good. In other respects, I'm used to the guide, so it's frustrating. The other thing is, too, is when it comes to DVRing, if that service is already streaming that as a huge library, then you don't need to DVR it. A perfect example, one of my daughter's favorite shows is SUV. Hulu has the entire library of SUV online, and the new live shows usually take 24 to 48 hours to show up in that library. So for that show, there would be no reason to DVR it. Other shows and other channels, yeah, I'd want to DVR it so I could watch it. Like, for instance, they don't get ABC Live, but they do have a streaming agreement with them. But I think the streaming agreement is like for 2 weeks. So it goes on live, 24 to 48 hours later, it's available streaming, and then in a couple of weeks it's gone. So if you haven't watched it, you just, I don't know how you watch it. One thing I do like about this, I'm going to be able to get some of the advanced services that I was refusing to buy because I'm spending so much money with Dish, like CBS All Access. It's $7 a month. I'm going to be way, way under budget and be able to buy 2, 3, 4 of these services. The Brit channels. My wife and I enjoy watching the Brit TV stuff. They're just channels I was just kind of like, you know, I'm already spending $230 a month on TV. You know, can I afford to spend another $20 or $30 or $40 on this stuff? And I think what we're going to end up doing in the end is probably spending close to $1,000 to $1,200 less a year and still be able to get all those advanced channels, still get 98% of the channels we like to watch. I think we're going the right direction. We just got to figure out some of these hurdles. And for us, my family, especially me, I'm the most addicted to the DVR. That's one of the things that we're going to have to figure out. So I'll keep working with this stuff. In a couple of months, I'll give you another update on how things are going. You know, if you like the video, give it a thumbs up. Please subscribe. Questions, comments down below. And see you on the next one.